part, Matej.
I like it too. Every time I listen to it, I like it even better.
How's it going, Ben? I haven't seen you so long. Finally, we're able to do this.
It's going great. It's going great. I'm very happy that we can finally do this again. I was looking forward to it. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing awesome, bro. Like today I worked out and rested a lot because it's President's Day. So I have a lot of dopamine. But I'm in a very stable, nice, casual mood. So like the best one.
Oh, very nice. Yeah, it's a good day here because it's a free day, because it's a holiday. So many things are not happening. It's a President's Day in America. I would love to tell you more about it, but unfortunately I don't know many details. But it's great that we can rest a bit.
What's awkward is like when we were in college, we didn't have this as a holiday. Do you remember? Like even I remember Dr. Diaz was dressed as Uncle Sam one time.
Oh yes, that's true.
Yeah, it's funny.
I forgot about it. It's been a while, almost a year since we graduated the college. So sometimes we have to remind the things that happened over there,
yep.
And it's crazy to just being like reminding all the different things that happened to us. And this is actually going to be also one of the part of today's episode where we would like to talk about doing a little bit more than is normally expected from us, right? Would you like to describe it a little bit?
Yeah, of course, man. Like I feel that it's so much of human nature to just stick with the deadlines and stick to what you are supposed to do. But in reality, we live in a society that it demands you to think outside of the box. And I actually think that all the people that are succeeding nowadays is not necessarily the most brightest or smartest or most talented people, but people that actually have the desire to go one step beyond, right? So that's definitely what we wanted to talk today. There's a lot of people that have inspired our journey. Without going far, like a lot of people hate him, but like I like Elon Musk. I think he's definitely a creative person that knew how to think outside of the box. He's super smart, yes, but there's also like a lot of musicians that I follow. For example, the Keefness, or I hope I'm saying it right. He doesn't do anything crazy musically, but because he was able to think outside of the box and do more than what it was expected with remixing the videos and giving it its personal touch, I think he went viral, right? So it can apply basically to any field. And I think that all of our listeners that are watching this podcast, including ourselves, are going to get more motivated to start doing more than what we're actually doing.
Yeah, because we are not here to give you like medicine, to give you recipes for how to live the best life. But I think the best way would be to talk about what we did and what worked in our case. And that can hopefully be like a piece of puzzle of all the different people that want to listen and want to expand their horizons and just to think, okay, this might be a way how to do it. But it doesn't mean that what we talk about is the only must way to do it. I feel like that's something also that I've been realizing more and more, that there's like unlimited ways of doing things, and none of them necessarily has to be right or wrong. It's always about the personal preference and how you approach it, and that's something that I've been trying to learn a lot about, to understand that not only my certain situation, my certain approach is the right one. So I believe this is very important to keep in mind.
But let me try to Google this super quick.
Okay.
Come on. Oh shoot, it's giving me like this super language of like educator, like super professional. But like, I don't know, have you ever heard of the 4 or like 3 stages of learning? And I think it was like observe, imitate, experiment, and then create. So I definitely agree with your logic that it's not, what we're saying is not set in stone, but in order to get to where we are right now, we have tried to imitate. We have first observed a lot of people, and like we have done our research, we have experimented, we have tried it. I got my things mixed. We have observed it. We have imitated things. Just like I remember you told me so many cool challenges that you were doing, or like because you heard this person is doing so and so, you started doing it. Then we started experimenting it, and that's when you give it your personal twist, and then you create something, right? So we encourage you that maybe we are not the only way set in stone, but if you feel like doing what worked for us, it's a great place to start. And by any means, we're not gurus, but that's how we actually got to the point where we feel comfortable to share this topic.
And it's also important to mention that we are still in the beginning of our journey. Like, we just graduated college and we are expanding our horizons in order to find out what we really want to do in the future. And this is also one of the reasons why we wanted to start this podcast, show like even to our peers how we are thinking right now and trying to find our ways, even though in many ways it seems like, oh, they already know what they're doing in some extent, but it's still not very certain for us, and we're still trying to provide ourselves reflections with, so we can know where the direction is heading. But I think the best start for this certain topic would be explaining to our listeners why we wanted to be in this way, in stepping ahead, in doing something extra that was required, why we wanted to do that in the first place. Because I believe this will help our listeners to like put it into a deeper context and realize how it all works.
For sure.
What do you think?
Well, I can definitely relate to the fact that I was just like everybody else. I was just doing what people expected me to do, and I was just following and always being super pushed by the deadlines. I'm a big procrastinator, so doing more than what I was expected was just like a little bit of a pain to me, but I always ended up doing it. Maybe because of it was my natural way to fight the guilt of the procrastinator effect. So like I have to do something super duper in order to make up for all the time that I've wasted. But for example, the usual music university student in South Dakota, because I know that in other places it's absolutely different, but the usual music student just like practices, if they practice, like an hour a day. They have a very set routine. They just go to the cafeteria. They just miss a lot of classes. They don't complete all the assignments and stuff. And in general, I've noticed that in college in America, I still remember my first day, I was super overdressed and I was just like wearing a tuxedo, like not a tuxedo, but like a blazer, just like wearing my pants. Funny. But like I went there and people were just wearing sweatpants and slippers and like a very old track and field 2013 t-shirt that made me, wow. It was like, these people are definitely not doing more than what's expected. I mean, nothing against that mindset, but it was interesting to get exposed to the mindset of chill, like let's get laid back, like let's experience less.
I think this is a very good experience we probably both experience, in a way of coming with our expectations and with our standards into a super new environment where we wanted to, make a very good impression for the first time. And then we always try to do the best, and then we find out, okay, this culture works a little bit different. Doesn't maybe this, what you describe, I wouldn't say necessarily from my point of view that it means something that they would not do anything that is more, that would not do anything extra, but maybe that's just the culture, because, people in America, they're just like really freely set up in the way of their thinking and of their beliefs, so they don't want to judge, they don't want to, necessarily do whatever, you do your style and you figure it out, and it's totally fine. And we are not here to be saying like, hey, this is wrong and this is correct. So I think this is something we fought with and we discovered as we progressed. But I think the motivation, like for us, the biggest one, you can explain to me if I'm wrong, but I would believe that it's because of our decision of initially going to America. We wanted to study here, and it was not a small decision. We had to actually move out from our home, from the comfort of our home, from the comfort of our family, of our moms cooking for us, doing laundry for us.
Yeah.
All of a sudden going to a completely different country and didn't know anything about it. So I think this motivated us greatly. Like, okay, I already invested lots of time, lots of emotions. I struggled with so many things in order to get here. So right now I will really cherish my time and the decisions I will make throughout this journey. At least this was the biggest motivation in my case. I always reminded myself, okay, why I came here. I don't need to be here. I can go back home. I can be with my family. I can be very satisfied emotionally, and I can have a very good comfort of the home environment. But I decided to do it in order to challenge, in order to discover something new, in order to learn something new. So I think this was the biggest motivation in my case. Was it also similar to you, or how was it?
Completely different, bro.
Okay.
It's funny
tell me more.
You just keep saying like, yeah, my dream, and I had to pursue it, and I was like, I just wanted to get out of my country and do something, just like experience something new. But I definitely, I get easily influenced by the environment. And going back to the topic of like America as a place where people don't judge each other and like it's very laid back and relaxed, at least in our college town, I definitely ended up falling in the loop of like, I started wearing sweatpants and my like Adidas sandals every single day, and like my hoodie. It became my go-to, right? But
I have to include, I remember the first moment I met you were exactly wearing this, like very chill, like, hey, what's up, bro? How are you doing? Welcome to America, man. And you were like super on top of it, like, wow, who is he? Is he still international student or?
Oh shoot! I ended up hanging out with Matej, but I'm still recording. Oh, that's so funny. I'm gonna call him back. I accidentally pushed the button, but it's still recording, so let's call him. Matej, FaceTime video. Come on, answer, Matej.
What happened?
I accidentally pushed the button of like my AirPod because I was just like laughing so hard and it was falling.
Okay, but let me check. I'm not sure if my audio works. Oh, it works now. It's recording again. Okay.
That's funny.
Oh, are you back on track?
Shoot.
Can we continue?
My Logic stopped recording, but you can take the audio from my video. So
My Logic also stopped recording, but I clicked again and continued with the track after that. I can synchronize it later.
Okay, so like, should we do like another clap?
Doesn't matter. I can find it by the way of speaking.
Okay.
It's not a problem.
Okay, sounds good. Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I said that you looked like a super American. Now you can keep on.
I was laughing because like I even remember I had my longboard, right, and like I had my cap backwards.
That's true. That's true.
Oh man, but okay, I can talk a little bit about the first time that I actually started doing more than what I was expected and what pushed me to do more than what I was expected, right? And as a matter of fact, the first time that I tried doing something more was because I needed more money.
Okay.
I needed some support to pay for college because my parents planned, okay, like going abroad is really expensive. So we have enough money to cover your first year. But then you're kind of like, you have to help us, buddy. Like even if it's through scholarships or maybe work. So in my first semester of college, I decided to become an RA. And that's doing more than what I was expected. And I had to increase the load of like working on top. But then my second year, I decided to apply for a scholarship through a foundation called Latin Grammy. And they basically support Latin musicians with a desire to advance Latin American culture and musical roots in the United States. So I applied just because I thought, why not, right? But by applying, I was already doing more than I was expected. I had to schedule auditions with some guys. I had to record with some awesome musicians from Northern, Quincy, Roger, and Aldous. I also recorded some projects solo. I had an awesome person that helped me record the video, and I produced my own very first own song. And that definitely motivated me, right? And I remember I was just chilling in my house. I was in Bolivia when I got the email of like, congratulations, you have been accepted and you've received the $10,000 scholarship from the Latin Grammy. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is just like unbelievable. I when you do more than what you're expected, you definitely can get things that not everybody's getting, right? And this realization, I think, started the whole journey of I want to become better and I want to start getting out there and promoting myself out there in order to be able to access to better opportunities.
Yes, absolutely. I would just like explain to the listeners, you mentioned the RA, it means the resident assistant, which is a pretty nice job for students to have at a university, especially in our university's case. It means that you're in charge of a certain floor, certain section of the dorms where you're trying to take care of the residents in a way that you're making sure everything is working fine. Students have all their needs covered, they are not struggling, and you're also in charge of decorating the rooms and the halls by like door decorations and also putting putting up bulletin boards. What was pretty awesome in our case, because upon your first like inspiration of, hey, Matej, you should also try to apply to be an RA, I also followed your path, and I think it's been one of the best decisions that I have made while I was studying at Northern. And what I wanted to say, oh my goodness, that that the RA job in our case was very well like reimbursed, because you got free housing and free food, which was a very big amount of money in our case of studying in a university, being international students, not being able to apply for student loans in America. So this helped greatly. But I remember you probably never even had like a B grade in America, right? Because you told me last time that during your high school you really didn't pay attention to your grades and to your studying, but it probably changed, right? So what was the mindset change? What was the reason you changed when you came to America?
Well, first of all, like I told you, I'm a massive procrastinator, and I always felt that I needed to overcompensate my.
Welcome to the club.
Isn't it awesome though? Like both of us are big procrastinators, but we end up doing things that when you look back at them, like for example, I recorded some videos for the Latin Grammy that are from like pandemic time. And I look back at them and I tell myself, like, what the heck? Like, this is awesome. Like, who is this dude? Like, I'm so proud of myself. But I think once you, like I've said before, once you demonstrate yourself that if you put a little bit of extra effort, you can get cool things, that definitely motivates you. Like, I still remember vividly the first time I checked my grades on the after the first semester of college, and I just saw this list of A. I felt so awesome, like so motivated of like, wow, I it's a great start, like being the high school student that didn't accomplish anything to being this top 10% of the class right now. And that motivated me to reach out to my professors, and like honestly I started asking them, what can I do better, what can I do different in this class, what are some ways to succeed? And I think you and I have both the same thing, that when we were in college we both stayed extra time to speak with the professors, to create those conversations, those connections. When we ever go to an event or whenever we see somebody that talks or like a guest speaker, we always stayed late, doing more than it was expected from us, just to get that extra benefit, because we know how things work, right? So if you're struggling maybe to realize the importance of doing more, you should start applying yourself in a field, and then you're gonna notice that it really merges into all the aspects of your life, and then it becomes, rather than a way of thinking, like than a thought, it transitions into a mindset and a way of living.
Yeah, very, very, very well said. And we mentioned it also in the last episode that the service you're getting in America by being a student is a paid service, and it works like a service, which is different from what I was used to in my country. So then you're paying to receive some kind of value, some kind of quality in return. So that was also the reason for me, like, okay, I'm paying quite a lot of money for this education. I want to talk with the professors, and I want to discover what am I doing wrong? What can I improve at? And I also want to speak with those professors, because I always was dreaming about going to America, and they seem like pretty cool people. And the way most of the professors, I was very lucky to have my professors at the college, were super cool people who are leading the lessons in a very exciting and inspiring way. So I honestly wanted to naturally go speak with them, just to get to know what kind of people they are, and just tell them, hey, I really enjoy the way you're learning and you're teaching us. Because back home I was able to just sit in a class and be bored and trying to like pray so the class can be over and I can do my own things, but I was not really present. But with so many of my classes at Northern, or in the American experience of my education, I was always so into it. And I think that was mostly because of these professors. So by getting to know them, they also like could see our input, and I felt like it could also like change their approach towards us. They saw like this student is trying to do extra, so I'll help him more.
There's a big point you touched there, and that people notice when you're doing more than what you're expected. People definitely notice that, and professors decide to be more compliant with you, if you are working, your boss or your leader or your in my case my principal definitely encourages me and like tells me, wow, I really appreciate what you're doing. If you are in whatever field you're doing, people really appreciate when you put more effort than what you're expected. And I think that looking back at what you just said, we just covered 3 of the most important points that we wanted to cover today. Building relationships, networking, which are very tied together, and identifying opportunities. And I think that's a big one. And I'm not really good at identifying opportunities because I've never really had the mindset of be a go-getter until I came to America. But you also have always had that mindset, and that's something I really admire and love about you. And Tony, we have to say the story of Tony in this podcast, bro. Like how
I think he will be our guest sooner or later.
Yeah. At least we need to say
our fellow friend Tony to the Czech Republic.
At least we need to say the Chicago piano in top of the tallest building of Chicago.
Oh, that's a very, very good story.
But
do
how
you want to
about
go cover it?
I think we can cover it just to give people a break from after you speak a little bit about identifying opportunities. And because you have a hawk eye, like you identify the opportunities, you would be amazing at marketing. You can definitely realize when there is a need for something different and you go for it. So how about you share your experience and what are some of the process you follow to identify these opportunities and nail them?
So I think the most important thing in my way that it wasn't anything really like structured in a way. I would say it was always something that I was super excited about. And this was very related to my sense of curiosity, because the things that I like and I enjoy doing, I'm really curious about. And if I found people that are vibing in the same vibe, I feel like, oh, I want to know more. I want to get more opportunities. What can I do? And I always try to kind of like approach all the different activities that I'm doing in this kind of way. Of course, not everything is possible to do that because then it's also tiring. But most of the times, anytime I was super curious and asking about super simple details about any kind of topics I was going into, it always led into like a positive interaction. It was also like, oh yeah, no problem, we can do this for you and we can do this for you. It's like, oh, awesome. So
but
I think for me it was this.
Let me stop you there 1 second. But like, and this is not like related to the podcast, but I always had the question like, how do you market yourself? How do you network yourself so people realize that you are seeking for an extra opportunity? You know what I'm saying? Because like, there has to be a way, or like maybe you said that you came to America with the support of some foundations that paid for your education. How did you find about these opportunities and how did you connect with those people?
Yeah, in this way, it's again related to the main topic of this episode, doing something extra. So instead of going to Google and like look up what are the ways of paying for college and you get maybe 5 articles, I spent maybe, 2 days searching up the whole Czech internet to really find a list of all the study foundations. And I called all of them. There was not a single one that I would skip. And I sent emails to all of them.
Wow.
I watched documentaries about the people who are being patrons in our country and are giving financial support to different fields. And I was like, wow, how can I get to those people, right? And I started Googling and I found some connections, maybe some people who are connected with them. And I tried to contact them, explaining the situation. And when it's something, when you're coming somewhere with something that you already believe into and then you believe it's a good idea, I believe if you're excited for that and can share this excitement with other people can get into it and it can turn into a cooperation eventually.
They notice.
And then you can, yes. And then a very good thing is just to keep talking about it. Like, hey, mention what happened to me, how I did it. And, I was always super active on Facebook and sharing each semester of my story, how it was, how I felt, what I learned, how I grew, what new opportunity I got, what it was better than from the last time. And when I look back on those like almost like blog posts, every semester I said like, this semester was the best semester of my life and I didn't believe how it happened. And every time it was rising like this because of this exact approach. And it was, you sometimes when we do so many things, we tend to like restart ourselves and like, okay, I'm gonna start again, I'm gonna be doing more productive stuff and whatever. But it's better to just keep where you left off. Just look into what you did before, just realize what are the great things and just admit them, and like, okay, I've already done something. So it's not that I'm starting with like a plain table with nothing. So I can keep on building on that, and it can get hopefully better and better. So
I love that. It's like you're cracking the method to do more than what is expected. Like, I love it, completely love it.
And I think the one last like subtopic that I wanted to cover in the way of connected with the university environment was like the regular mindset, regular belief about university students, especially here in America, is that like, okay, students like to be kind of comfortable, they like to play video games, they like to watch movies, they like to socialize, they like to party, they like to sleep in, and okay, if they have extra time they can do some homework, but many of them are not really focusing on those work, on the school stuff as like their first priority. And I think there was something that was quite different in our cases, because we also wanted to have this college experience and we built so many cool deep relationships, but we always were aware of the fact that right now is a very important time of our lives when we are free in the way of not having super like relationships when it comes to family. We are young, we have the most energy in our lives, and we are investing into ourselves, and that is something that we can eventually use for our own benefits. You know, like many people are investing into those stocks and dividends, which is great, but sometimes, like especially in this time of your life, the best investment that you can do is in yourself, because
Right.
that will compound the most, that will increase the way how you can eventually be successful in any kind of matter you wish. What do you think about it?
I think that's awesome, and like that's a great way to look at it. I'm still curious on like what was your initial motivation? You said like the biggest motivation was coming to America and like it was your journey, but I still don't understand, and this is what I love about you, how you always find the drive to think outside of the box, because you are definitely a go-getter. You always think outside of the box. And for example, I remember when we were in sophomore means second year, sophomore music theory, you decided to start recording homework as videos, and you went all about it. You came up with these crazy ideas and like this thinking outside of the box. And I think that is what is awesome. Like the fact that you're not limited to the things that you are supposed to do. Like you said, yeah, playing video games, yes, whatever, but you take it above and beyond. So how do you accomplish that? I want to turn the question back to you. What makes you think out of the box?
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate the question, but I don't want to have this podcast like self-centered on me. It feels weird to talk so much about myself. But in this way, I feel like maybe I got almost a little bit addicted. So it might not be, the best way. I would not like suggest it to anyone. But I became addicted on the sense of on that feeling of becoming a little bit better every day. Wow. If there's something I can improve better to become a better version of myself as being a person, as being Matej Cheap, that was what was driving me crazy. And as I just told you, investing into myself, it was university. I could experiment. So why would not I spend like extra time creating a video and just try what will work out? And by doing it, I learned so many valuable skills, like how to edit video, how to edit audio. And I think you can also like talk about this way, because you also got these amazing skills by doing these projects as well, recording videos, for example, like good example from this kind of like certain rank we were just talking about in your case was, I remember when you were preparing the resident assistant program for your residents at the time, you also like recorded a whole video about inviting them and introducing yourself for them.
Welcome to Briscoe.
Yes. And maybe even like the students, or maybe even the university professors or the university workers didn't appreciate it much, but I thought it was the best, amazing way how to like really interact with people and with the students of our age at that time. So you can tell more about what you did and how it worked out.
Wow. For me, doing more than what is expected definitely comes by the idea of I want to be unique. It's not so much of like I want to be better, but I want to do something unique. So in the fact that I approach my work and everything I've been doing in my life in the fact of I want to be original and provide people a better way of connecting. I want to find my own efficient way after, of course, going back to the beginning, after observing, imitating, experimenting, I want to come up with my own twist. And what Matej is talking about is a video I did that I took the job, instead of making a regular, hey, this is your resident assistant bulletin board, I did a huge QR code that took people to a video of me where I made a whole Michael Bublé type song introducing myself. I recorded the saxophone, I recorded the drums, I learned how to make some horn arrangements, I learned how to make a lot of cool effects with the camera. I started watching videos, tutorials, and that definitely is another way of looking at how you can think outside of the box, right? Like it usually, creativity comes from the need that you are always thinking. It's not like you have this magical idea like, bam, I have this super creative idea. No, usually creativity comes one day or two after you have been pondering on the same question over and over and over of like, how can I solve this? What is the most efficient approach to do this? Or like when you're presented with an opportunity, how can I give it my own twist? So I think it's awesome in that sense, and that's a trait that I really love about us, because we both have it, that we always want to give it our own unique stuff, our own unique trait. And going back to Tony,
Oh, here we go.
Tony is the guy that he does everything his way, and it works like a charm. Like, imagine this, like this guy, you look at him and he looks just like a regular dude, right? But he has the biggest guts and the biggest courage and the most engaging personality that you have ever noticed. And it's because he's always used to do more than what is expected. I remember there's so many stories I could share, but the story I want to share right now is, I remember Tony, we were in Chicago with Matej, Tony, and I, because again, Matej was doing more than what was expected. How about you make a counter of like more than what it was expected? I feel like I've said that 11,000 times right now. Like every time I say that, just like make it pink.
Let's try. A lot of editing's coming.
Yeah, there you go. Do more than what you're expected. Beep, another 100. But we were in the hotel, right? And Tony has this skill of going with his interactions, and he always loves to engage with people, right? So we were in the elevator going to the 100th floor. I don't even remember how many floors there were. And he started engaging with the person in charge of the elevator. He started cracking up jokes. And I was like, wow, you have such a fun job. Just like many ups and downs, right? And like try to make that guy feel good and like feel different.
Man, actually, you know what he asked him? He asked him, hey, I don't know why, but I want to ask you, can I invite you for a drink? Because you look tired working here in the elevator going back, up and down.
Yeah.
And that guy, being like bored and doing his work all over and over and like just, supervising like hundreds of tourists.
Don't spoil the story.
Yeah. The guy was just like, he was like sparkling.
Yeah.
It was awesome to see like how he lit up.
Yeah, it was amazing. So then we go to the bar. We went to the bar on top of the it was called Sears Tower, right?
No, it was the John Hancock Tower.
There you go. But we go to top of that tower and to the top bar to see the best beautiful sunset view of Chicago. And then
awesome.
Tony notices that there's a grand Steinway piano sitting in the middle of the dining hall, where eating one dinner is like $200, I think. So
pretty
Tony,
fancy upscale restaurant.
Yeah, so Tony literally goes and approaches a waiter and says like, hey, I'm gonna try to make my impression of his accent, like, hey, I noticed there's piano. I noticed there's like piano Tony. Here. Where is manager, so I play piano? Where is your manager? Because we can maybe have possibility of me playing. And that's something that I love about Tony. No matter where we went, he always went above and beyond and marketed himself. And he can he knows how to play, let's say, 50 minutes of piano. He doesn't have more repertoire, but he knows how to sell those 50 minutes to everybody. And that's what I love about Tony. But going back to the story, Tony said it so confidently that the waiter brings the general manager back. And guess who was the general manager? it was the guy that was going up and down in the elevator that Tony offered a drink. So it was like so mind blowing. And then Mati and I are just watching from upstairs because it was like an upper deck and the piano was in the lower deck. So we're just watching Tony interact, and we're just like, come on, he's just wasting his time. This is like one of the fanciest restaurants of Chicago. It's just like, come on, we need things, we have things to do. And then we see the moment where the general manager hands the business card to Tony saying like, we want you to like schedule a day, and we were just so mind blown. And
it was so awesome.
That definitely wraps up all the points of like, when you go outside and do more than what you're expected, when you take the time to build relationships, identify opportunities, when you network, when you're not scared of going out of your comfort zone, people notice what you're doing, and the universe sort of conspires in your way to bring you those things, that the rewards for doing more than what you're expected.
It's absolutely a very nice story to wrap up this episode. But you said one thing, you said he was very confident, but I think actually there is one key value that is also good to just talk about. Tony was confident, but he was also extremely humble at the same time.
Yeah.
And he was like, you know, guys, I know it's crazy, but like, is there a chance that I can play the piano? And that guy remembered him because he offered him a drink in the elevator, and he was like, oh my gosh, you know, it's insane, you cannot plan for this, so why not, you can go try play the piano. And he just started talking. But I think it's also important to mention, just, you know, try to stay being yourself. Of course, try to push yourself out of your comfort zone, but don't push it too much, because if you push it too much, you can also hurt it, and many people are very sensitive for it. So just, okay, acknowledge that you're not the best pianist in the world, but you really would like to play the piano, and you played piano before in the Czech Republic in some cool hotels because he was working as a snow instructor.
Yeah.
And it worked out. He smiled and he did it, and he was able to play it at the like top of the John Hancock Tower, one of the most like upscale restaurants in the Chicago. And we just like looked at him from above and like, what the heck just happened?
What the heck just happened, bro? Like, Tony, what a guy. But I think to wrap up, like you said, to wrap up, we should just give a rapid fire of like what were some of the things that we did where we gave a little bit more, and what were some things we obtained in return. Like, how about super short, you just say about the video you did for China, the video you did for the Czech thing in New York that ended up taking us to Chicago, and maybe like the whole Berkeley thing, like just super quick.
So, you know, many people are following the normal direction. Okay, I'm going to apply for something by filling up documents. I was like, okay, what is the best way to cover a story? Through video. People are used to watching videos, so I recorded a video about what I want to do, why I want to do that, and I took the extra step. For example, if I wanted to go study in China, I recorded video completely in Chinese and really paying attention to specific details, so I could imagine what people in China would like to watch if they see a foreigner who would like to come to China. So this was one extent that helped me to get accepted to study in China as well. Then another example, you know, in my way, it's just the video, because I love to use the video to step and do the extra step. But it was also building relationships, you know, going extra, like, hey, trying to help someone, trying to help a person on campus. Eventually it can become your best friend. It can become an amazing partner for your life, which also happened in both of our cases, right? So, you know, this relationship, and also building relationship with the professors, because professors are the key parts of the university that can also provide you with opportunities. So if you build a relationship with them and trying to show them that you're a good student, you're learning, you're curious, you're cooperating, they're also going to like it, and they'll give you opportunities back in return.
That's awesome, bro. Like, what best way to summarize it?
So okay, so before we completely say goodbye for tonight, I think it's also good to mention again, don't forget to follow us on all the social media. You know, don't forget to subscribe us on YouTube, so you can not miss the other episodes that are going to be coming soon. Please let us know what you feel about this podcast. You know, write a comment, write any kind of suggestion that you would like to have to see being improved, because we like to take it into account to make it better and make it more suitable for you. So it's also very beneficial for all of us. What do you think, Edu? Anything you would like to add?
I actually made a story on Instagram about this yesterday. I uploaded it to my story, so you should check it out. But We're doing
Awesome.
this because we want to keep having conversations between us that motivate us, because Matej motivates me and I feel that I motivate you as well.
Edu motivates me absolutely a lot.
Yeah.
We talk about it quite often.
But we want to keep, we just want to share this motivation and this dopamine rush that we have with people. So we're doing a service, right? And we're doing this for absolutely nothing. So if you guys like this, I think it's so normalized in the current society we live in that we're just going to watch and interact with content, and we're not going to we can watch a 40-minute podcast video, which is 40 minutes, this video, and we're not going to take the time to give it a like. But if you guys have been engaged this whole time, just leave a like, leave a comment, because like I said, we don't get to see the true feedback of what you guys think if you guys don't engage with us as well. And we are more than happy to take these conversations in a direction that is more suitable for our audience. And yeah, we love doing this, and show us some love and support.
Awesome. That well said. Thank you for a great talk, and I'm looking forward for another episode already.
Let's finish it with the jingle again. So how about we play it? Let me play it from my end.
Okay. Put it up there so we don't have to imagine just from our heads.
There you go.
It's nice that you can hear it in your headphones because I can hear nothing, but I can imagine. Never mind, man. Good talk.
I'm
See you next time.
imagining it. I didn't play it.
Good one. See you next time, man.
Bye, bro.
Bye-bye.